There's one famous case of a doctor who wrote a confessional letter to the New England Journal of Medicine, who then published it, about how he had a patient who was suffering tremendously, who asked him to help him not so much die as do whatever it takes to get me out of pain.
Right.
And then the patient died. And that doctor was charged unsuccessfully with murder.
Right. Well, I mean, often what you have in these situations where you have a patient in pain is you have a prosecutor bringing a murder charge and a jury saying, forget it. This is what you call jury nullification. No matter what the facts are, no matter what the law is, we don't believe that this doctor should go down for murder.
Would a jury believe that Michael Jackson was in enough psychic pain that administering something as ridiculous or as extreme to most doctors as propofol was justified?
I mean, celebrity trials in general are wild cards. You don't know what a jury's going to think. I mean, a jury could think Jackson was somebody who got everything he asked for, and therefore, in a sense, the will of anybody around him was overcome. I mean, even a doctor was put into this aura of Michael Jackson and did whatever Michael Jackson said. I mean, it's rather silly. You would hope that a doctor would behave responsibly, but perhaps not. But absolutely, anytime you're in a celebrity jury, a celebrity trial, murder trial situation, you just have no idea what they're going to do. So, yeah, I mean, they could say, hey, this is a guy who was basically asking to help die because he was so unhappy.
Do you know of any famous doctor murder cases that are similar to this?
I'm certain there are. The implied malice situation, the situation where a doctor is charged because he does things so dangerous with it, knowing that the likelihood of killing somebody is so high, are pretty rare. The involuntary manslaughter situation, and possibly the murder situation where you have, a rogue doctor at a hospital, pulling people's IVs. I mean, that's murder.
Yes. Random strangers
right.
Killed in their sleep.
Exactly.
One question I had is if all the facts that are being floated around the news turn out to be somewhat true, that there's a doctor who gave propofol or was there when propofol was given, and Michael Jackson unfortunately died because of it, well,
that's going to be also the big question.
Yes.
And that's going to be a fertile defense area. So you have to show cause and effect. So if you pull a gun and you pull the trigger and the bullet goes through someone's brain and does intense trauma to the brain, it's very easy for a coroner to say the cause of death was the pulling of the trigger, therefore the defendant who pulled the trigger is guilty of murder. In a case like this where Jackson was suffering from all sorts of medical problems, would another person administer this drug have died in that situation? I think you're going to be able to find experts to say probably not. I mean, the thing that I don't quite understand is to what extent the doctor was operating at the behest of the concert promoters as opposed to at the behest of Jackson as client or as patient.
That will be an interesting question.
Right, because if essentially the concert promoters have said, keep him alive, keep him happy, get him to sleep, get him, we just need him to do these 50 concerts. Well, then you have a motive, and juries like motives. And certainly, if you're going to charge somebody with a doctor with a serious crime, a jury's going to want they're going to want to know, well, what was his motivation for behaving in this irresponsible way? And if it was to make his bosses happy, well, then you have then the prosecution has a powerful case.
Well, and one of the things that came out in the news was that he was being paid by the concert promoters.
That's a bad fact. If I was his defense lawyer, I would not be happy about that fact.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. This
was my pleasure.
Very helpful.
Thanks.